Welcome back to the channel and to another WNBA video. We got Game 3 action coming our way. WNBA Finals tipping off tomorrow evening, Wednesday, October 16th. We got the Lynx taking on the Liberty. Going to be another good game, guys. So we're going to dive into that Game 3 action. We're going to break it down and analyze it. We're going to talk about which way that I'm leaning as far as the points and the spread. We're also going to talk about any player props I found for that game that I like. And then any picks that I put in officially myself, I'm going to list right down there in that pinned comment. So make sure you check back in. That way you can see if you'd like to ride along with me. But before we get into Game 3's action, we got to go over what we took in Game 2 and how that went down. And man, it's gone down better before, most definitely. We do split on the night 2-2. So let's dive into it. We did a full game over 162.5. That's the only play that we put a full unit on, and we do not cash on that, unfortunately. Took Courtney Williams over 17.5 points and assists at a half unit, and we do cash. Took Sabrina Ionescu under 10.5 rebounds and assists, also at a half unit, and we cash. Then we took Kayla McBride over 3.5 assists. We also put a half unit on that one, and we also do not cash. So like I said, a 2-2 night. 3 of those picks being half units. 2 of the picks that we win, both of them are both half units. So realistically, we lose a unit and a half, and then we gain back just under a unit, right? So not a horrible night, like I said, but we do end up just slightly in the red there, which is not where we want to be, obviously, right? We want to get back on the winning side of things. So let's dive into this game here, guys. Let's get back on the winning side of things and see some more green check marks on that board for our next video, man. So let's not waste any more time. Go ahead and hit that like button down below for me. Hit subscribe if you have not already. Now let's dive into it, man. The Liberty are going to be 2.5 point favorites here on the road in Minnesota. Depending on where you're looking at, it might be up to 3.5 as well. It's kind of tinkering in between that range right now, depending on what sportsbook that you are looking at. And then we got an over-under sitting at 160.5. Now, guys, the script almost felt the same in Game 2, right? New York found themselves with a big lead early, up by as many as 17 as early as the second quarter, but much like Game 1, they saw that lead shrink, with Minnesota within 2 with just under 4 minutes to play. From there, a clutch 3 from Benaje, Laney, Hamilton that sparked a 12-0 Liberty run that closed out the game en route to a 80-66 New York victory. Now, it's got to be noted, Minnesota struggled from deep in this one, man. They shot 30%, while New York shot 46% from deep. The Lynx were the most efficient three-point shooting team this year. They ranked first overall in three-point shooting percentages, so I definitely don't expect them to shoot that poorly again. But we also have to give credit to that Liberty defense. For giving up 21 in the first quarter, New York allowed 18, then 14, and then 13 through the next 3 quarters, locking up and allowing less and less points with each passing quarter. Despite allowing Minnesota to hang around, and pull within 2 late, they held the Lynx scoreless for the final 3.5 minutes of play and held them to just 66 points altogether on the game. Now, we should expect the Lynx to play better at home. Statistically, they've looked better in Minnesota on the year rather than on the road, specifically on that defensive end, right? But the thing is, man, New York is the deepest team in the league, and they have shown many ways that they can beat you, whether it's inside with Jones and Stewie, and both of those can pop out. Both of them can pop out to the perimeter as well, or, they can beat you on the perimeter with Ionescu and Fibic. Then you got to watch out for Laney Hamilton, man, when she gets going like she did in Game 2. Vandersloot off the bench, another veteran. Kayla Thornton, Kennedy Burke. Man, the list goes on and on and on when you talk about this New York Liberty team. Minnesota, though, they obviously have some depth as well, right? We've spoke how they are truly the only team that, they compare to New York in this manner. And this is a big reason why they played the Liberty so tight on the year. But that bench failed them in Game 2, man. 5 points overall from the bench? We have to see Minnesota counter this defensive attack, too. They got to find a way to keep Fee involved, especially when those shots aren't falling from the outside. Look, Fee finished with 16 points, which did lead the Lynx on the night. She didn't attempt a shot, and I think in those final 3.5 minutes where they went scoreless, we didn't even see Fee put up a shot. And you just can't have that from your star player, man. She has to take over that game. You're within 2 points, right? That's her time to shine, man, and that's what she did in Game 1, resulted in a Minnesota win. So if they want any chance at this one in Game 3, that's what we have to see. That's the difference that we got to see. But once again, man, the Liberty dominated on the glass. This is another area where Minnesota, they're going to have to figure it out, and I don't know how they do. The Liberty won the battle of the boards 34-27. And then on the offensive glass, they won 10-5. They have out-rebounded Minnesota now through 2 games, 78-59. Um, Look, I know the Lynx held the season series lead at 3-1, but this isn't the regular season, right? This is the WNBA Finals. And this Liberty team has been a team on a mission through these playoffs so far. And they showed they can make the proper adjustments in game 2 to, in my opinion, win this series. They showed great mental toughness in that fourth quarter in a, oh no, here we go again moment. And they closed out Minnesota to even the series at 1. We have to keep in mind as well that despite the Lynx closing these deficits in these first 2 games, and making it close there, making it interesting right at the end of the games, they were down big to begin with for that to even be a thing. In both games, they found themselves down by more than 15 points in each of those first 2 games. And it took a rally in game 1 and an overtime victory and just a complete collapse from New York on the defensive end for that victory to happen. The Liberty, they've led now in regulation for all but 4.7 seconds. Out of 80 minutes, they've led the entirety of that time, save for 4.7 seconds. So, that's got to count for something there, man. And then if we include that overtime game in game 1, they've held the lead for 81 minutes and 43 seconds of the 85 minutes that's been played between these two. So simply put, the team that's been the best team in the league all season remains the best team in the league, and they have shown that here on the biggest stage when it matters the most. And I think, with the series being 1-1, like I said, with the Lynx being able to claw their way back in, I think people are kind of losing sight of that, man, and think the series is a little bit closer than it is. And also, you take into consideration how the Lynx kind of took it to the Liberty during the regular season. But like I said, it's the WNBA Finals, man. It's a whole different ball game. Give me New York to reclaim home court advantage and get the dub here in game 3, man. So I'm leaning that way. And then for the total, after 2 games, expect to see even more adjustments from both coaches defensively in another game dictated on that end of the court. What more can you expect from the 2 best defensive teams in the league? Sure, game 1, that went over and would have went over even without overtime, but those game 1s do tend to be those kind of like fill you out type games with the defenses locking in game 2 and beyond. So I'm going to look towards the under for this one here. That's the way that I'm leaning. So let's go ahead and dive into some props. That first prop I'm looking at is going to be Alana Smith of the Lynx. I'm looking at her points, plus rebounds, plus assists. I'm looking at her under of 18.5. We can get this right here at FanDuel at -122, Bet365 as well. And we can also find it on Underdog. Now, guys, we did jump over to Outlier. Like I said, if you guys aren't hip to Outlier, make sure you check down in the description. And also at the pinned comment, there'll be a link right there at the top of either of those where you can click in and you can get a free 7-day trial to try out Outlier for yourself. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, it has most definitely made me a much better, a much more efficient, whatever you want to say, man. It's helped me out a ton, man. I love Outlier. It's definitely the best sports betting research tool out there on the market today. I've tried out a few back in the day, scrapped them, and I kind of just freewheeled it there for a while, man. Until I got on here to Outlier, guys. Like I said, I really like this one a lot. It breaks it down, gives you a lot of different ways to look at things. So we're going to dive into it here. You're going to get to see firsthand as well all the wonderful things about Outlier. So right now, like I said, we're looking at Alana Smith and her prop, her points plus rebounds and assists. Looking at the under, that 18.5. Now, we can look at her in her last 5 games and see that she's hit under this mark at a 80% rate. All that green down there is good. We just don't like the red, but only 1 down there out of the last 5, so we do like that. And if we look at her in her last 10, hitting still at a 70% rate, so we also love to see that, man. And if you look up top here, it's just green across the board, so definitely what we want to see. If we look at her head-to-head against the Liberty, now this was with the Sky here, so I'm not taking too much into consideration there. That was with her old team last season. This is with the Lynx starting this season, so this is all the times that they played, right? 6 times so far. She has landed under this mark 5 of those 6 times, right? Now, they have been close, man, just full disclosure, right? Game 2, she landed at 18. Game 1, she did go over. And then those 4 games during the regular season, 17, 17, 16, and 17. So we are close to that 18.5 mark. We do have to keep that in mind. But with all that said, we have landed under that mark 5 of the 6 times. So we definitely like to see that. And we can come up here to Outlier, man. They always have these insights. And it's just basically like a trend, right? And it's going to break down everything down below to match that specific trend. And we can see that she has failed to hit this mark in 8 of her last 10 when playing defenses in the top 5 for points allowed. We can see that right down below here. Like I said, an 80% rate hitting to the under in those last 10 games versus those top 5 defenses for points allowed. And that's definitely the Liberty, right? They sit at third for points allowed, second for rebounds, third for assists. Let's look at them specifically against centers. Boom. First. It's definitely like our chances there, man. And next up, I'm looking at Kayla McBride, also of the Lynx. Looking at her in the first quarter, her points over 3.5. Now, the thing is that New York has really geared in and focused in on Nafisha Collier, right? Somebody's got to score, man, right? We could look at Nafisha and her first quarter points, the under again. But I kind of like taking a look at Kayla McBride and her over. We only got to get 4 points out of her here, and we can get that at minus 120 on FanDuel right now. And in her last 5, we can see that she's hit this 3 times in a row. 3 out of the 5, those 3 in a row. But crushing it there in that last game against Connecticut, and she has come over this mark in the first 2 games here against the Liberty. Now, you always got to be careful fading a New York Liberty defense, right? Against guards, they are third for points allowed. However, if we look at Kayla McBride head-to-head in this first quarter prop for her points, she has hit over this mark 8 of the last 9 times that she has played the Liberty. Specifically, 5 of the 6 times that she's played the Liberty this season, 5 times in a row. So, definitely like our chances here with Kayla McBride, looking at her with the points in the first quarter. Like I said, that defense of the Liberty, man, they are definitely focusing in on Fee and trying to take her away early, which is definitely opening up a lot of shots for the rest of the squad. Kayla McBride is aggressive. She is going to look for her shot as evidenced, right here by all this green down below. So, like I said, we're looking at Kayla McBride here, the first quarter points over 3.5. We just need her to get 4 points, and we can cash at minus 120. I like our odds right here. So next up, I'm looking at what's going to be the first of a 2-leg parlay. Looking at Benijah Laney Hamilton, her 3-pointers under 1.5. Now it is juice at minus 185, which is why we want to throw that in with another prop here to make a little 2-leg parlay and get it at plus money instead. But hey, it's juice for a reason, right? Under 1.5 3-pointers made. She has in the last 10 games. Cash that under at a 70% rate. Now, Trey, you're going crazy. She just dropped in 4. Yes, she did. She did. Do we think she's going to do that back-to-back? I don't personally. I don't. I do think that Minnesota's going to make the adjustments. Obviously, Laney Hamilton had a huge fourth quarter that kind of did Minnesota in, so I definitely think that she will be on their radar. And like I said, man, 70% is a great number. That's what we want to see there. We can look at her head-to-head. She's hitting at a 78% rate to the under on this one as well. 4 out of the 6 times that they've played the Lynx this year, she has come under this mark. So you like that as well. And if we look at Minnesota for their 3-pointers defense against forwards, they do sit at second. So all these things playing in our favor for this first leg. Now let's go ahead and jump over here, looking at Nafisha Collier, her assist over 2.5. Now this would be the second pick of this parlay here, right? Now it says minus 137. That's at Prize Picks. We're going to look at minus 170 on Bet365 and combine that with that Benijah Laney Hamilton 3-pointer prop, and we will get odds of plus 145 when we do so. So I do like that one, guys. We look at that, like I said, her assist over 2.5. Now, if we check this inside out from Outlier, we can see that she has exceeded this mark in 8 of her last 9 games, hitting at an 89% rate. So you definitely love to see that. A whole lot of green down here. The only time that she came under that mark, she landed right on the hook in that Game 1 action against the Liberty. And honestly, why would she have more than 2 assists when she was heating up the way she was and led that team to victory? But like I said, 8 of the last 9 games, she has come over that mark and kind of crushed it in a handful of these, right? So, got to like that here. And if we look at her head-to-head against the Lynx, we can see that she has hit 5 out of the 6 times that they have played this year. So, we definitely like that as well. So, Nafisha Collier, like I said, over 2.5 assists. Get it at Bet365. Combine it with that Benijah Laney Hamilton. When we combine them together, we get a lovely plus money opportunity. So that's going to wrap us up, guys, for another episode here. I hope you guys enjoyed the content and found it helpful and useful. And if you did, please do not forget to smash that like button down below for me and hit subscribe if you have not already. That way you don't miss out on any of the content that we are dropping here on a daily. That's going to do it, guys. Best of luck to everybody. I hope we cash out. I will see you for Game 4's video.